It was November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. At Portland International Airport, the weather was miserable, cold, rainy, and foggy. A man carrying a black attaché case walked up to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He used the name Dan Cooper and purchased a one-way ticket for Flight 305, a short 30-minute trip to Seattle, Washington. Cooper looked perfectly ordinary. He was in his mid-40s, wearing a dark suit, a white shirt, a black tie, and sunglasses. He boarded the Boeing 727 and took seat 18C. To the other 36 passengers, he was just another businessman traveling for the holidays. He ordered a drink, bourbon and soda, and waited calmly for takeoff. Little did anyone know, this ordinary-looking man was about to commit the most audacious crime in aviation history. Shortly after takeoff, at 3:07 p.m., Cooper leaned toward the flight attendant, Florence Schaffner, who was sitting in a jump seat near him. He handed her a folded slip of paper. Schaffner, assuming it was just another lonely passenger giving her his phone number, dropped the note unopened into her purse. Cooper leaned closer and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Schaffner felt her heart drop. She quietly opened the note. Written in neat, all-capital letters, it read, "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. You are being hijacked." When Captain William Scott received the news, he contacted air traffic control, who immediately alerted the FBI. The president of Northwest Orient Airlines ordered full cooperation with the hijacker to ensure passenger safety. For the next 2 hours, Flight 305 circled the skies above Seattle. The pilot told the passengers there was a minor mechanical issue to buy time, while the FBI scrambled to gather the money and the parachutes. Meanwhile, in the cabin, Cooper was surprisingly polite. He wasn't aggressive. He paid for his drinks, insisted on leaving a tip, and kept looking out the window, checking the weather. He knew exactly what he was doing. At 5:39 p.m., the plane finally landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. As demanded, the cabin lights were dimmed to prevent police snipers from seeing inside. An airline official walked down the runway and delivered a knapsack containing 10,000 $20 bills and the 4 parachutes. True to his word, Cooper allowed all 36 passengers and 2 flight attendants to leave the plane safely. The passengers had no idea they had been part of a hijacking until they walked into the terminal. Only the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and 1 flight attendant remained on board as hostages. With the money on board, Cooper gave the pilots strict, highly unusual instructions. They were to fly toward Reno, Nevada, at the lowest possible safe altitude, around 10,000 feet, and at the slowest speed the plane could manage without stalling. Furthermore, he ordered the landing gear to remain down and the cabin to remain unpressurized. At 7:40 p.m., the Boeing 727 took off into a blinding rainstorm. Cooper ordered the remaining flight attendant into the cockpit and told her to stay there. As she walked away, she saw him tying something around his waist. It was the money. At 8 p.m., a warning light flashed in the cockpit. The aft stairs, the staircase at the very back of the plane, had been lowered. The pilots felt a sudden change in air pressure. The freezing air of the night storm was rushing into the plane. Through the intercom, the captain called out, "Is there anything we can do for you?" Cooper's final words were short, "No." At 8:13 p.m., the tail of the airplane suddenly deflected upward. The pilots had to fight to stabilize the aircraft. It was at that exact moment, over a rugged, heavily forested area in southwestern Washington state, that Dan Cooper stepped out into the freezing, 15-degree below zero dark night, plunging into the wilderness. When the plane safely landed in Reno, the FBI swarmed the aircraft. Cooper was gone. He had left behind his black clip-on tie, a tie clip, and 2 of the 4 parachutes. The FBI launched Operation Norjack, the most extensive and expensive manhunt in American history. Soldiers, federal agents, and tracking dogs searched the dense forests of Washington state for months. They used helicopters, submarines in the local lakes, and even high-tech aerial photography. They found nothing. No body, no clothes, no parachute, and no money. Dan Cooper had vanished like a ghost.
Years turned into decades, and the case grew cold. The FBI investigated over 1,000 suspects, but none matched the DNA found on Cooper's tie or the fingerprints left on the plane. Then, in February 1980, 9 years after the jump, an 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was vacationing with his family on the banks of the Columbia River, just downriver from Vancouver, Washington. As he scraped through the sand to build a campfire, he uncovered 3 degraded bundles of cash. It was $5,800. The serial numbers matched the ransom money given to Cooper. It was the only physical evidence ever found outside the plane. But the remaining $194,200 was completely missing. Did D.B. Cooper survive the jump? Most experts believe he died that night, arguing that no human could survive a jump into a freezing rainstorm over a pitch-black mountain forest, wearing only a suit. But if he died, where is his body? Why was only a small fraction of the money found by the river? In 2016, after 45 years of fruitless searching, the FBI officially suspended the active investigation. D.B. Cooper remains the only unsolved skyjacking in commercial aviation history. He became an American legend, the ultimate phantom who committed the perfect crime and disappeared into the night forever. Thank you, everyone. Please like and subscribe.